we generally do in a damage hearing, but all right, Mr. Rhodes, how did you come up with that figure of 3,000?
He had 2 months of unpaid rent. He had 2 months of unpaid rent, which is $900 a month.
All right, let's slow down.
Yep.
Is it in the file?
Yeah, it's the second page of the lease agreement, which should have been 220.
Okay, but I mean, is your breakdown in the file somewhere?
No, it is not.
All right, then I didn't miss it. Okay, so $900 per month times 2 is $1,800. All right, what else?
Then I have the electric bill statements with the last payment received on December 31st of 2024. And that by the time he was vacated the premises, bill was left at $1,350 and it was canceled. So upon getting the electric reactivated, I have a receipt of $459 to pay the deposit to get the electric turned back on the property.
Those bills are in there. So what's the total of utilities?
That would be $1,809.26.
All right, so let's add those two up. 1,800 plus 1,809.26 is 3,609.26.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Now, was there a security deposit? Now, you also said you had difficulty getting the property back into shape. So right now we're about $300 some off. What are your additional costs?
So I had 2 trips to the dump at $40 a trip, and then I based it off of 8 hours of cleaning the house at $30 an hour for my time to make it relivable.
That's 240. So that's 360. All right, so if we add that all up, plus 360, we get your figure of 3,969.26. So Mr. Cathern, let's break this down. Some of these are easy and some are a little less easy. He says you owe 2 months rent at $1,800. What's your response to that?
I don't owe him a dime, honestly, in my opinion.
All right, why not?
Well, since November of 2024, I had no consistent running water. He was informed. I had no flushing toilet, no shower for me and my girlfriend to take a shower in because he prioritized the company we work at over his tenants and kept saying he was going to come out there and fix it. And every time he didn't. When the power skyrocketed at that point because the pipes were frozen due to his lack of taking care of the situation. And so he came out there with an electric/propane heater, stuck it under my house and ran my power bill up. Also put a space heater in my shed, the size of a doghouse, trying to unfreeze them pipes. So in January of 2025, I told him I was not going to pay those 2 months of rent unless he came in and fixed my property. Because upon me moving into that property 2 years ago before that, he told me he was in the middle of remodeling the property and he would finish it. But during that time,
Where is
Do
this
not
property?
interrupt me, Mr. Rhodes.
That was me.
Oh,
Where is the property?
it is on, it's in Three Rivers. It's, I don't remember,
I was looking for
5887.
the lease. And I couldn't, I'm trying to figure out where this rental was.
It was on, it's at 58874 Ash Road.
58874. Is it a trailer or a house?
It's a house. It's a one-bedroom cabin pretty much on the river that Mr. Rhodes bought from the neighbor.
All right, I'm looking for the lease.
And then I could
all right,
also
slow
tell you
down.
that, okay,
Slow down.
that lease is null and void because we had a verbal
Well,
lease the year before,
I
3
don't
months
even
prior.
have a lease. So was there a lease?
In December of that previous year, before our Christmas break of 2024, we sat in his truck and agreed upon that he was going to come back and finish the remodel, and that we agreed that the lease was good for the next year. It was clearly stated by Mr. Rhodes, this lease is good for the next year.
All right, well,
As
was
long as
there
I stay.
ever somewhere a written lease?
No, it was done in his truck.
Is a
The
verbal
only,
lease?
yes,
All right, what was the monthly rent?
900. I refused to pay those 2 months of rent because I had no running water, no flushing toilet, and I had pretty much crap in my toilet, and I had a natural gas leaking into my place because he came into the house and pulled the pilot valve off and kept promising for a month that he was going to come out there and replace my stove, and didn't do it till after I'd already told him I was moving out.
Here it is, 58874 Ash Road. All right, this property couldn't be rented if it was in the city of Three Rivers. It wouldn't pass inspection, and this is very common. We have, Mr. Cathern, you're making me dizzy. If you
Oh,
land
sorry.
in one spot, you're at work,
Yes.
and where do you work?
Same JRS with Mr. Rhodes.
What's
I'm
the
going to
name of
find a
it?
chair now. Jay Rettenmeyer, the mysterious
Oh.
German company, you like to say.
Yes, that's mysterious. All right. Okay. So there's no written lease. And what was the deal with utilities?
The reason why I did not pay the utilities is because I felt like it fell on Mr. Rhodes for putting the electric salamander under my house, knowing there was a running leak straight out the hot water heater that was cycling 24/7. And he failed to do his job as a landlord and come fix the issues that he knew well enough about.
All right, so we got no lease, so we're on shaky ground right off the bat. No security deposit. There's something called the basic covenant of habitability, which he has to provide a premises that is habitable. If this premise was in the city of Three Rivers, they wouldn't have approved it for rental. And if the township knew there was no running water in there, they would have condemned it. How long did you have no running water?
Since right before Thanksgiving. He'd been out there like 3 times trying to fix it. He put in a new well pump. The well pump immediately broke. I ended up, after the power got turned off, I ended up having to buy myself a generator and all them things.
All right, well, again, how long were you without running water?
3 months before I moved out.
All right, so November, December, and January. When did you move out?
I moved out in, no, I moved out in April. I'd been dealing with this since November.
So you had no running water from November to April?
He would come in, fix it for 1 week, and then it would break again from November to January. And then that's when I looked at him and I said, hey, either fix it or you're not getting rent, because that is my right as a tenant to refuse rent until my property is fixed.
Well, there's a way to do it. So November and January, so then you were there February.
March, and I left at the beginning of April, the
All right,
1st.
so did you pay any rent in February and March?
No, he got his last check in January.
So you didn't pay, you paid December and January's rent?
I'm pretty sure I only missed 2 payments altogether, and it was the last 2 months I was there.
All right, and the utilities do seem quite high. Now, once it got disconnected, you had to pay to get it reconnected, but the utilities are $1,350 from December 31 of 21 till I'm not sure when, 24 till I'm not sure when. That's pretty high. What was the story on the utilities, Mr. Rhodes?
All right, so as Mr. Cathern explained, there was a hot water leak that I was not aware of the climbing of the electric bill. And so by the time I found out about it, he had messaged me saying that it was unlawful to turn the electric off, which I never did. So, by the time I was able to come out.
Let me back up. Did you turn the electric off?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Okay.
No, it's from, not being paid. The AEP turned it off themselves.
All right.
The, bill would go to his, well, to the address of Ash Road. And
Well, the bill is in your name at Ash Road.
that is correct.
Uh, so if you didn't pay it and he didn't have any electric, that's on you. The bill's in your name, not his.
So, real quick, there should be a copy of the lease in our paperwork. And, in the lease, it is required that the renter was to put the utilities in his name, the natural gas and the electric.
Well, let me see. I couldn't find a lease.
It's, gonna be 11 pages. It probably is back in with a file from March 5th, when I filed the complaint to recover possession of property.
Oh, that's in the landlord tenant case. Um,
And then it's gonna be on,
all right, stop.
yep,
You're not a very good landlord, Mr. Rhodes. You don't know what you're doing and you're in over your head and you're suing him for a bunch of money and you don't have a. Well, all right, he said there was no lease. There is a lease, so let me see if
but
I
he
can
didn't
find.
go 4 months without water though, Your Honor. He went at the most 3 days straight.
All right.
The well pump
Just a
froze
minute.
up.
Let me see if I can find your other case, like a scavenger hunt here. You're
I
the
have
plaintiff, you have the burden of proving the case. And so one of the things you should have done is provided a copy of the lease. But let's see if we can find it.
And that was the lack of my knowledge. I figured.
Stop, I didn't ask you anything. Don't just start blurting things out. Wait a minute. All right, that's 25521 LT 25526 LT. All right, let's take a look. Just to add to the sense of frustration, there's a terrible, that's not it. Annoying buzzing in here from a bad bearing and a fan. Let me look at this again. Two 5526 LT. Yeah. Oh. All right, there is a summons and complaint. File number is 25526. It was filed in March. And you got the defendant's name misspelled as Cotherman, Sean Cotherman. Part of the reason why I couldn't find it, it's under Cotherman. Notice to quit was served in February. Defendant agreed to move by April 11th. And so, let's see if I can find the lease. All right, standard lease, January 1 of 23, Ethan Rhodes and Sean Cathern. From January 1st of 23 to March 31st, 23. After that, it becomes a month-to-month lease. Rent is $225 per week, which is different than $900 a month. $25 a month late fee. No security deposit. Landlord shall provide the following utilities and services to the home. Home repairs causing by natural age, furnace, water heater, well pump, sewage. It isn't clear, utilities beyond that.
Page
Home
9.
repairs caused by natural age, furnace, water heater, well pump, sewage. Doesn't have to do with about the electricity. So I got to go back to the other case that we're supposed to be in.
Page 9 of that lease, at the end where we sign it, there is a spot for the utilities of the tenant.
All right, let me go back to that. Maybe I didn't scroll down far enough. Here it is, additional terms and conditions. Tenant is to keep utilities active and paid. Also to internet is on them.
The TV and handwriting.
Signed by Ethan Rhodes and Sean Cathern. Tenant is to keep utilities paid and also internet is on them. All right, so there's a lease which wasn't made part of this complaint, but I found it in another case. Established rents $900 a month for this little place. No security deposit, so we got that. Utilities are somewhat unclear, but it says they're supposed to be there. So they're in your name. So you didn't pay the utilities and they shut his utilities off. How long were you out without utilities?
Uh, at least my last month there. I can't remember the exact amount.
That means no electricity.
Yes.
Now, despite what you said, the water wasn't out for months at a time. It was on and off sporadically, correctly?
It was literally he would fix it, and then literally the next day it was broken again. I have
So,
many witnesses that could attest to this too, because I did bring people over to watch, see his handiwork and see that I had no power and water.
the trial is now.
Yeah.
So, all right, so no, from January to when you move, so the big question is, why the hell didn't you move out of there? You're in there in the
Because
middle of winter, no water, no heat.
I'm not, let me put this honestly, I'm not financially secure. Like I'm just now getting a pay raise where I can sustain where I live now. So I had to save up. That 2 months that he's asking for back is the only reason I was able to move out. I told him that I'm keeping the money, and because I don't have running water. I don't have running water. I had natural gas in my house.
But there's a way to do that, which is to pay the money into escrow, but I've only seen any do it right about once. So from January till April, how many days do you think you had no water?
Was that 90 days? I think I had running water in that 90 days, maybe 15 days of the 90 days.
And how many days were you without power?
The last month.
So from like March 15th to April 15th?
No, like March 1st to April 1st. I moved out April 1st. I started moving into my new apartment the 29th of March
All right.
because I had to get out of there because it was costing me too much. I bought I bought a gas powered generator so I could have power for me and my girlfriend.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's a good way to get suffocated. All right, so the place was left in pretty bad shape according to the photographs. And he claims several $100 in trips to the dump.
Which I have
And
no problem paying a cleaning fee. I don't have any issue with that.
all right, now you also didn't pay the utilities, but you're saying he ran your utilities up by running electric equipment at your property, but yet he was trying to unthaw your pipes so you could have water.
Yes.
So he wasn't doing it maliciously. He was doing it to try to get power. So
Yes, I do understand that, but during that time I ever lived there, the most my power bill ever got up to, and that it was like a 600 square foot house, was the max I ever had it at was $200 a month.
okay. Mr. Rhodes, what else would you like me to know?
Just like to contest about the 3 months with no water. That was false. He was true about having to go out every other day and restart the pump. It would trip out. But, there was a space heater in the well room, the well house, that would, keep the well house warm. But at the same time, it being an old house, a little crickety, because the first year didn't have any problems. We gotta leave the spigot on, just a little trickle of water so it doesn't freeze when it gets down to negative temperatures. The lines had froze. I come out, hook up a space heater that's ran by propane and just an extension cord to thaw the house out. As far as going without water for 3 months or even a total of the 15 days that he said, that's not true. The most he went was 3 days. I will admit that. I had a family emergency in Detroit when the pump froze from the well house freezing. Other than that, I mean, if anytime he had a water issue, I was right out there that day when I got out of my normal working job. And,
All right, so you're saying he wasn't 75 days with no water.
no,
He said it started before November, so it'd be more than that, like 100 or more days with no water. You
no, and
disagree with that?
I do disagree with that. I will admit, he would have to go out to the well house and reset the pressure switch to turn the pump back on, because I had issues with the water and the bladder tank I had to replace. I mean, it was always the work in progress. I never like shunned him or put him on the back burner. I mean, I was at my normal 8-hour job when I get out, acquired, and come out and work with him. Then there was a time he said that I was not allowed on the premises with him not being at home, so I'd have to wait till he gets out of work at 6 o'clock at night. We were always in agreement with everything. There was never no, like, well, it's gonna be this way or it's gonna be that way. It was, if you had an issue, okay, I get out of work today, I'll be out there to address it. It was never like, I'm not coming, you have to go without. And then same with electric bill, which I know I sent here, but I could always get the shut off notice, but he went 2 weeks most without any electric.
Okay.
But the bill was sent to that address.
I'm gonna split the rent in half, $900 for 1 month of rent. I'm gonna split the electric in half. It was quite a bit. Maybe I'll cut it in more than half. The electric was $1,800. He said it was $200 a month. That would be December to January to February to March to April, 4 months. I'll load $800 for electric. I will allow the entire cleanup cost. Keep losing my place, which is $340. That's $2,040, I think. Was 2,040 plus the court costs of 86, 127.42, and $20 some sort of service fee, 106 plus 127.42. $133.42, $233.42. So it's a lot. $2,273.42, which is a little more than half of what the plaintiff had asked for.
All right, let's talk about that. Judge Middleton's small claims hearing in Rhodes v. Cathern had all the elements of a landlord-tenant dispute gone sideways. Unpaid rent, sky-high utility bills, a questionable lease, and a property that might not have passed inspection if it were in town, Lord Ethan Rhodes, came in asking for just over $3,000. His math included 2 months unpaid rent at $900 each, nearly $1,800 in utility costs, plus dump fees and his own time billed for cleaning. On paper, it looked tidy, but when Judge Middleton pressed for proof, things got messy. Rhodes hadn't filed the lease with his complaint, and the judge had to dig through another case just to find it. It turned out rent was set at $225 a week, roughly $900 a month, but utilities were supposed to be in the tenant's name, even though they weren't. That alone set the stage for confusion. Tenant Sean Cathern pushed back hard, arguing he shouldn't owe rent at all because the property wasn't habitable. He said he went months without running water, no flushing toilet, and even a gas leak after Rhodes pulled a pilot valve off the stove. At one point, Cathern said he and his girlfriend had to live with waste in the toilet because nothing worked. He also claimed Rhodes ran up his electric bill by using heaters to thaw frozen pipes. Rhodes disagreed, insisting outages lasted no more than a couple days at a time, and that he was out there after work fixing problems whenever they came up. The back and forth was tense but revealing. This wasn't just about numbers. It was about a property barely scraping by as livable. Middleton was unimpressed with both sides. He told Rhodes bluntly, "You're not a very good landlord. You don't know what you're doing, and you're in over your head." But he also reminded Cathern that withholding rent requires doing it by the book, typically paying into escrow, not just refusing to pay. In the end, the judge split the baby. 1 month's rent awarded, half the utilities allowed, and all the cleanup costs. That brought the total to $2,173.42, less than half of what Rhodes had asked for, but still a significant hit for Cathern. The overall atmosphere was classic small claims chaos. An exasperated judge, a landlord who hadn't done his paperwork, and a tenant who'd lived too long in conditions no one should accept. Middleton cut through it with his usual mix of dry humor and practicality, leaving both sides with a ruling that neither loved, but both could live with. Time to break this one down. Judge Middleton balanced habitability against hard numbers, docking the landlord for sloppy proof while still holding the tenant responsible for part of the bill. If you found this hearing